Okay, we are now live. Can you hear me, both of you? Right, thank you for both of you coming. Hopefully there'll be some more to that. Excuse me, I've just been eating something that's catching my throat. Right, welcome to the inaugural. Thank you, Sir Walter. Sir Walter don't like me. Welcome to the inaugural International Force Rope Timeline live stream. Very disappointed at the small turnout, but glad you're here. Before I go any further, there would have been another person from a guy from Australia logging on, but there's a 12-hour time difference and he couldn't make it. He submitted me 2 questions which he'd like me to answer. After following your work for a number of years, he's referring not to the Force Rope Timeline, which only started in 2016, but after following your work for a number of years, I know you come from a common sense approach rooted in your upbringing in sane times in the 20th century. But this century, common sense seems out the window. Do you know any books or thinkers or wisdom from yourself to help one cope with the despair we all feel at living through what appears some days to be a terminal civilizational decline? And he says also, could you comment on the upcoming Cosby sentencing? In a few days, when Cosby in his early 80s will learn that he'll die in prison. Well, I'll deal with the second one first. I've made 2 full-length videos on the Bill Cosby scandal. The last one is called "The Prior Bad Acts of Gloria Allred." You'll find that link from the timeline. Excuse me. It's really. I've had as many cough drops as I can take. My view on the Bill Cosby. I've done 2 videos, 2 full-length videos, and I've written a number of articles. The Cosby case is really remarkable because there is only really one case against him. That's the Constant case, and I've made out a case for a case there for reasonable doubt. I won't say he's innocent, but certainly there's a case for reasonable doubt there. All the other stuff is lies, and it really is amazing the way the media has perpetuated these lies, including women who are clearly lying, and everybody knows they're lying, including and especially Gloria Allred, and yet they're paraded as though they are credible accusers. For example, one of the first women Allred adduced was a certifiable lunatic named Helen Hayes, who claimed Cosby grabbed her breast when she was a teenager at the 1973 a tennis tournament in California in 1973. She said that this was done in a restaurant openly, that she and her friends had changed restaurants several times to avoid him. If such an incident had happened, in 1973, a black dude, a big one, noticeable, famous, recognizable, grabbing the breast of a white teenager. I mean, what do you think would have happened? Others like Janice Dickinson, I've deconstructed her, and I'm not the only one. There was a woman living in Australia who, when Dickinson made her initial allegation. She claimed that Cosby phoned her when she was in Bali, and that she hopped on a plane to Lake Tahoe. And this woman did quite a bit of research, including onto mobile phones. You'll find that on the video, the Private Alexa Glory Allred, and also one of my articles, which are on the section of my main website dedicated to the latest news. It's clear that Dickinson has zero credibility as an accuser. Yet she was lumped into to testify to his prior bad acts. Mesereau, I mean, this is a guy who defended Michael Jackson. He got Michael Jackson off, and he also got a hung jury the first time. But if he'd put a private investigator on the case, they could have dug up all sorts of things. In the UK, what would Cosby get? Probably at most he gets 7 years. I can't see any more than that. Ched Evans got 5 years. In the United States, they hand out at times ludicrous sentences, and want to make an example of him and probably sentence him as a serial rapist. Having said that, I don't know what sentence he will get, or even if sentencing will go ahead. But I do know that the person who should be sentenced is Gloria Allred. The way she incited all these lunatics to come forward, and the way the media played up to her, is just utterly disgraceful. As for saying the time, well, yes, in a sense, the 1960s and 70s and 80s were saying the times, but we had the swinging 60s. I was just too young to. I was be selling the 60s. If you can remember them, we weren't really there. I was young enough to remember being there, but too young to participate in the swinging 60s. But all sorts of mad things going on then. Don't forget we had the Cold War, which is totally unnecessary. If you read Anthony Sutton, you'll understand why. A book I could advise my friend to read: Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. If he hasn't read it already, you'll find it on the Internet Archive. And a really incredible book, which is hardly known now. Cheats at Work by Gerald Mars, an anthropologist. The second edition of that book, which is like 1994, I read the first edition. If you read that, you'll and apply that to human nature, to if everything goes on around you, you'll understand some of the madness that goes on. Apart from that, the only thing I can say is live it and try not to allow the lunatics to infect you with their insanity. Right, gentlemen, I presume you're all three gentlemen. Anyone like to ask me any questions? I'll give you a minute. Now there's only two of us watching. Only two of us. I don't actually include two watch. I think it's two watching rather than three watching. Any would you like to ask me any questions? Do I think Rolf Harris's name will ever be cleared? That's a good one. as far as I'm concerned, for what it counts, I know, I know, I know quite a bit more about this case than I can say. Really, really, the so-called case against Rolf Harris, is that he had a much younger mistress. Well, he became close friends with the daughter, with the friend of his daughter Bindi, and she's the one who started all this. She the truth came out about their relationship. I think it was about 1989. I got it remember offhand. And Harris, foolishly but honestly, wrote a letter to her parents, admitting they had a relationship. But he said it started when she was 18. Then, quite disgracefully, they threw all this money at him. They trawled the world looking for lunatics to falsely accuse him, and they found many of them. 3 in particular. There was an anonymous girl who claimed he'd groped her at a sporting event, charity sort of sporting event. There was the odious Tonya Lee, and the quite likely deranged Wendy Wild or Wendy Rocha. As I'm sure you know, he's already been cleared of the Rocha allegation. What amazed me about that is that he was ever convicted, and in the first place, because, as I pointed out in several articles and elsewhere, and I did quite a bit of research on this, that at the time he was meant to have groped this child as she was then, he was a big name. The idea that he would have been performing at this community centre in the West Country, and to do so would have, without leaving a paper trail, is absurd. And you know, if there would have been some sort of paper trail. Was he paid? I mean, if he'd been paid, there would have been, I suspect it would be quite a big fee, and that would have been reflected in the accounts. If it hadn't been paid, then there would have been publicity, big publicity, but there was nothing, not even a leaflet. And this shows the danger of these sort of allegations. Do I think they'll be cleared? As far as I'm concerned, he was a foolish old man, a foolish man. But what does really astound me is the hate and vitriol that's been levelled at him. I mean, if you compare this with the Mike Tyson case, which was a case of forcible rape, unambiguous rape, in my humble opinion, because Tyson was a big name then, and there was big money to be made of him. The world couldn't wait till he came out of jail to fight again. And if you look at this guy, he's been back in prison, I think, twice since then for assaulting people, ordinary assaults. And he's commentating here and there. And yet Rolf Harris is the one whose name is in mud. I think maybe 50 or 100 years from now, future historians and future plebs like us will look back and realise just what an injustice has been done to him, how outrageous this was. You know, I mean, it just, you know, I mean, the reason this gets me is that, particularly, is that, don't ask me why, but there are 3 people I've always associated with my childhood, which was a largely unhappy childhood. One was the Queen, who's always been there and is still there. Another was Shirley Bassey for some reason. I'm not a great fan, but and the third was Rolf Harris. I remember Tyree Kangaroo Down Sport. I remember before that, Sunny Rise. I was about 5 when that came out, but I remember that. And I didn't particularly like Rolf Harris as a well, children's entertainment, whatever he was doing then. But I liked his music, and I just think it's absolutely outrageous the way he's been treated. And what they did to David Lee Travis as well was absolutely outrageous. I'm going to be hopefully doing something in more depth on the Jimmy Savile case, because, as I'm sure you know, I beg pardon, so it's a lot worse than I thought it was. As I'm sure you know, Savile is the public perception of Savile, and indeed the perception beyond the ordinary public, is that he is the greatest groper and occasional rapist who's ever got away with in this country. I mean, the greatest abuser of children. But if you look at the actual evidence, there's hardly anything there. And the whole business started at Duncroft School, and that's lies, all lies. That was exposed by Suzanne Cameron Blackie, also known as Suzanne Nundy, who died last year. And there's a guy called, I don't know what his name is, but he blogs under the name Moore Larkin. And he is, Anna, oh, you know Anna Raccoon, yeah. Yeah, she was quite a lady. As with Cosby, the media keeps parroting the lies, even though they are lies. We can see a similar thing on a different scale, in a different sense, with Donald Trump. Almost anything Trump does, they distort it and they twist it. Leaving aside the stupid allegations of sexual assault against him, but any time he opens his mouth, they twist it to make out something. So he did something, and then there's this Russian collusion rubbish, which is being exposed. It's been thoroughly exposed now by Judicial Watch and a few others. And I've no doubt that at some point Hillary Clinton will be indicted, and the whole vile, grubby conspiracy at the top of the US deep state will come down. James Comey, James Clapper, John Brennan, the whole. It really is unbelievable what would be happening there. But that is with. I mean, in one sense, that is more understandable, the media collusion, because they've all got their fingers in the pie. But with the lies about Rolf Harris and Bill Cosby and others, there's really just media madness, and I think we really need to rethink the whole damn media setup. The other thing I'll say about it is social media. It's getting to the point now, as you probably noticed, that almost every powerful or not so powerful politician, almost every celebrity, every business person, including women, you'll find a video or at least a thread somewhere where these individuals have been accused of mass murder or serial rape or some sort of horrendous crimes on an enormous scale, and there's really no way of avoiding this, because you've got 1 billion people on YouTube. As I've said this many times before, there are 1 billion people on YouTube. Not all these people are sane. Not all of them are honest. Many of them don't know how to assess evidence, and it's inevitable that you'll have people producing rubbish. Yes, Hillary. Well, does Hillary live a charmed life? The case against Hillary Clinton, there's an enormous mythology being built up around Clinton. I mean, even she's been accused of rape. If you've seen that Kathy, what's her name, lunatic? I can't remember offhand, but it's one of these lunatics who claims to have been brainwashed abducted by the CIA and all sorts of stuff. But the case against Clinton, we know for a fact that she found some way of transferring top secret material, including stuff that, if it fell into the wrong hands, as it undoubtedly did, would have put people's lives in danger, CIA agents and CIA operatives. She found some way of transferring that from skiffs onto the regular internet, where it was kept on unencrypted servers. Now, if you were a police officer, or even a humble low-level civil servant, perhaps working in local government, and you did what she did, you conducted private business and company business, government and local government business on a private server, you'd be at the very least sacked and prosecuted. And that's what happened to that Christian Saucier guy, the Navy bloke. Really, I'm going to go get another sweet. That's better, or at least I hope it's better. Yes, you know what Clinton done has been really beggars belief. What she got away with, but she hasn't got away with it yet. And I've no doubt at some point, very soon, indictments will follow her, Comey, Huma Abedin, and quite a few others. You know, this really is outside of the instigation of the Federal Reserve. This is the greatest conspiracy in American political history. Right. Any more questions, gentlemen? We're down to 3 now. I think I'm not sure if that's 3 of you watching or 2 of you, including me. I think hopefully it's 3. This really is. I was really hoping for a better turnout. I'm glad you're here. I have 180 subscribers, strangely enough, but I didn't email any of them about this live stream. Any more questions? Right. Well, I'll just say something about the international full slope timeline. It started with. Are you going as well? It started with 1,950 entries. I'm now up to not far short of 4,000. I hope probably next week I'll turn 4,000. This isn't all allegations of false allegations of rape. There were a few attempted rapes. There's a few indecent assaults and things like journal articles, legislation. But if you include the false rape statistics from various police forces, there's well over 4,000 cases. What I really want to do is stop this ludicrous assault on due process by the sexual grievance industry, because they just tell lie after lie after lie. We've got this insane Me Too movement now. You had Kamala Harris. There's a video of her saying that she believes this Kavanaugh accuser. Why would she make it up? Well, Harris was the Attorney General of California, and for a law officer to say something like that is just insane. I mean, why? Basically, it means any woman can come forward and accuse any man she's known, especially a powerful man, and we're supposed to believe her uncritically. And of course, with allegations of any historicity, the chance, I mean, it's down a lot of the time, especially if it gets to court, it's down to the accused to prove he didn't carry out the act or acts concerned. And this can be near impossible. The Kavanagh case, I don't think this woman is lying in the conventional sense, but I don't think she's right in the head either. But obviously there's a massive political angle with this. And we saw with the, as you're doubtless familiar with the Azio Argento case, that appears to have backfired somewhat on the Me Tooers. But it really is getting insane. I don't want to live in a world in which anybody can be accused, not just of rape, but of any crime, and have his or in some cases her life destroyed on absolutely no evidence. Are you not familiar with the Kavanagh case? This guy who's being nominated for the Supreme Court. If you're not following American, I'm assuming everybody follows American politics as close as I do, but probably not. Some woman who's now a professor has come forward and claimed that was it 35 years ago he tried to rape her when she was 15 and he was 17. Something insane, absurd like that, and we're supposed to credit it. And the way it's timed is absolutely disgraceful, and it's another attempt to shaft Trump, if not to take him down, then to scupper his Supreme Court nomination, and he's a progressive, his conservative agenda. I don't agree with everything Trump's doing. I certainly don't believe that this. I think he's been a bit too hard on Russia, whatever the Russians have been up to, and I don't think it's an idea to make Iran the idea that Iran is the financial world terrorism. I mean, we should be building bridges with Iran. To build a wall between America and Mexico, by all means. But in the Sun today, let me have a look. Couple therapy. I wonder why. I wonder why. What else has been has come out in couple therapy? I actually published an article to the False Rape Timeline. I think today, in a small hours. Now this is showing how absurd some of this therapy business is. This is from 1993. This is a story in the Independent. Names have been changed, but one afternoon in September 1991, James, a 57-year-old former Royal Naval officer living in Wiltshire, was summoned by his daughter to her flat in London. In a cool and business-like telephone call, she said she had been remembering things that happened to her in her childhood and wanted to talk to him about compensation. Intrigued by the call, he arranged to see her. On the day James arrived at the flat, to find her sitting in a lotus position on her days, she motioned to him to sit in a chair by the door. Now, this is unbelievable. This. I want you to sit down there. I'm going to read you a statement, and when I've finished, I'm going to go into the garden. I want you to leave. And she says in the statement, I am pure and clean, and I now realise the cause of the difficulties of my life. At 9 months, you started to tickle my clitoris, and you liked it. When I was a baby, you used to get me on the floor and stick pencils up my vagina. Then when I was 2, you used to tie me down and stick your fingers in me. And then when I was 8 years old, having stories read to me, you would get into bed with me and you raped me orally and anally. She's also made allegations against her grandfather, It says that when she was 4, her father took her to a satanic meeting in which a baby was killed. This is the sort of stuff that comes out in so-called therapy. Yeah, it's easy to laugh at stuff like this, although it isn't laughable. But when the allegations are, you know, I mean, if a woman accuses a man, or a child accuses a man of impregnating her and causing multiple abortions and worshipping the devil, these are things that can be refuted, and which, generally speaking, but not in the case of McMartin, the police don't take seriously. But if the allegations are credible, the simple indecent assault, they can ruin lives, and this is where this insanity leads. I mean, if you believe people uncritically, and it's the absurd thing is that we're supposed to believe. The idea is being advanced that an allegation which relates to something months or years or decades earlier is somehow at least as credible, even more credible than something which is contemporaneous. And it really is totally absurd. I've got a few cases like that on the False Hope timeline. I'm adding more. I did quite a lot of research yesterday. I've still I've got a lot of cases to add, but I'm hoping people will send me cases and continue to send me cases. Right, we're still only 3 of us. Do you want to keep going? Three watching. Any questions? Any more questions for me? Right. Well, what I suggest is give it another 10 minutes to see if anybody else turns up, and then I'll schedule another one for next Wednesday at the same time. The thing I should point out is I appear to have been shadow banned. I've been shadow banned, I think, a long time on Google, on not Google, on YouTube, but if I can just mention this, I've joined Twitter in 2009, October 2009. I've sent out 866 messages so far. I don't know if that includes direct messages. I didn't start using it till I think 2 or 3 years ago. But my last message, what about Kamala Harris? It's 44. I had 44 people seen that. Yeah, 1 August 27th, I got 372. I'm usually getting 200 or 300 at least, but now recently we've got 44, 77, 88, 99. It seems to be going down regularly, but it seems I don't know. I think it's shadow banning. There's definitely war going on social media with the extreme left trying to get anybody who's remotely conservative kicked off, and feminists have been doing this for quite some time. You may be aware of there was a court case in Canada in which Stephanie Guthrie, whatever her name is, she and another woman made false allegations against some guy, kept him off social media for about 2 years, and been harassing. They have basically harassed people, and then accused them of harassing them. And you had, I mean, it's just getting insane what's going on. You can imagine what the United States would have been like if Clinton had won. Probably lost the First Amendment already. And of course, there's no There's no free speech at all in the UK. Not on down to I think 2 watching or 2 watching. Oh, the YouTube notification came up for you. Very good. Yeah, I think there's 3 of us, so that's 2 watching means me and 2 others. Yeah, I haven't sent out any. I don't know. I mean, I've got 100. There is a way of messaging the subscribers on YouTube. I don't use YouTube a lot now because I'm doing other things, but I will use it for this broadcasting. Yeah, I mean, it seems that the lunatics are in control of the asylum, and it seems to be that this obsession with obtaining more convictions for rape. Something I'd like to mention here, which show the way young women in particular are being brainwashed. Where are we now? Yeah, this is incredible. I found this the other day and posted it. This is a message. This is on the website of Rape Crisis Surrey and Sussex. What does the law mean in practice? It means that if a man has ever penetrated you without you wanting him to, it is rape. No, it isn't. It means it doesn't matter. It means where is it? What's that bit about money? Oh yeah, it means that consent is not given freely. Consent is not given freely when force or pressure or threats are used. Like, if you loved me, you would. So, the guy says to a woman, "If you loved me, you'd go to bed with me. You'd do this. You'd do that." She says no. He walks out the door, so she runs after him and does what he wants. So you can imagine. I mean, this is I find it difficult to believe they've actually posted this rubbish. You can imagine what would happen if a woman who is none too bright has been having sex with a guy, and she reads something like this, or she's told, if you didn't want to have sex, it's rape. She's been having sex with this guy, and for whatever reason, and she suddenly decides she didn't like any of it, and she goes accuses him of rape. It's absolutely absurd that this would be posted on the website of a so-called rape crisis centre. And now, with the alcohol situation, I think most rapes nowadays, most rape allegations nowadays, certainly a great vast number of false ones, involve alcohol in some way, manner, shape, or form. It's extremely dangerous for any man to have sex with a woman after she's consumed any amount of alcohol. She's only got to say she was too drunk to consent, even if she initiates it. And it really is absurd what's going on. I don't know if you've got an opinion about that. I suppose you have. No, still only 2 watching. Any questions, gents? Then we'll wrap it up, I think, until next week. No? Okay, well, I'll give it a couple of minutes. I'll end this live stream. Very disappointing, but glad you're here anyway. It shows as ever that the truth is seldom as popular as fiction. Right. Okay, well, thank you for coming. Thank you for both of you. 5 of you at one point. Yeah, nice to hear of you, Martin. As things stand, I'll be going online at 10 o'clock next Wednesday. So what's the date? The 19th, so it'll be 26th. And hopefully it'll be, I was hoping for a few dozen at least tonight, but hopefully there'll be a few other people tuning in, and anybody wants to send any questions, feel free, and I will answer them next time. So thank you and good night.